Introduction to Bars and Shadows, the Prison Poems of Ralph Chaplin. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Bars and Shadows, the Prison Poems of Ralph Chaplin. Introduction by Scott Nearing. 1. Ralph Chaplin is serving a 20-year sentence in the federal penitentiary, not as a punishment for any act of violence against person or property, but solely for the expression of his opinions. Chaplin, together with a number of fellow prisoners who were sentenced at the same time, was accused of taking part in a conspiracy with intent to obstruct the prosecution of the war. To be sure, the government did not produce a single witness to show that the war had been obstructed by their activities, but it was argued that the agitation which they had carried on by means of speeches, articles, pamphlets, meetings, and organizing campaigns would quite naturally hamper the country in its war work. On the face of their indictments, these men were accused of interfering with the conduct of the war. In reality, they were sent to jail because they held and expressed certain beliefs. As a member of the industrial workers of the world, Ralph Chaplin did his part to make the organization a success. He wrote songs and poems. He made speeches. He edited the official paper, Solidarity. He looked about him, saw poverty, wretchedness, and suffering among the workers, contrasted it with the luxury of those who owned the land and the machinery of production, studied the problem of distribution, and decided that it was possible, through the organization of the producers, to establish a more scientific, juster, more humane system of society. All this he felt intensely. With him and his fellow workers, the task of freeing humanity from economic bondage took on the aspect of a faith, a religion. They held their meetings, wrote their literature, made their speeches, and sang their songs with zealous devotion. They had seen a vision. They had heard a call to duty. They were giving their lives to a cause, the emancipation of the human race. When the war broke out in Europe, with millions of working men flinging death and misery at one another, men like Chaplin, the world over, regarded it as the last straw. Was it not bad enough that these exploited creatures should be used as factory fodder? Must they be cannon fodder too? Why should they fight to increase the economic power of German traders, of British manufacturers? The war was a capitalist war between capitalist nations. What interest had the workers in these nations, in their winnings or in their losses? So ran the argument. The IWW was not primarily an anti-war organization. In theory, it had abandoned political activity to devote itself exclusively to agitation and organization on the field of industry. Practically, its funds and its energies were expended upon industrial struggles. Long before the war, the IWW had made itself known and feared for its conduct of strikes, its free speech fights, and its ability to put the sore spots of American industrial life on the front page of the daily press, and to keep them there until the people had become aroused to the wrongs that were being perpetrated. It was in this domain of industry that the IWW was functioning, and it was among the business interests that the determination had been reached to rid the country of the organization at all costs. Had the chief offense of the IWW consisted in its expressed opposition to the war, it would not have been singled out for attack. Many of the peace societies that flourished prior to 1917 were more outspoken and more consistent in their opposition to war than were the leaders of the IWW. None of these societies, however, had acquired reputation for championing the cause of industrial underdogs and for demanding a complete change in the form of American economic life. Consequently, in the prosecution, in the sentences, in the commutations, and in the pardons, the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?